So I just want to welcome everybody. We've got a very nice, intimate group. So, what we're going to be doing is something that I've termed active, potent power poetry. Because when we think about poetry, we often use it in a very sort of, it could be spiritual, quite romantic, quite flowery, but it's rarely used for practical purposes. People don't often think about poetry as something that you would use, but something that you would feel or express or bask in, but not so much use. So this is very much about using it. And how it started with me was, I mean, I always wrote a little bit of poetry because I wrote a little tiny book called The Joy of No Self a few years ago. And there's a few poems that I wrote in that. But now I'm in the middle of writing a new book called The Book of Active Power, um, power poetry for transformation and healing and liberation. Uh, which Julie is helping me with as my editor and proofreader, of whom I couldn't do without. and and it's like a manual for everybody to learn how to do this themselves, because it's amazing stuff, and I can say that because it's come through me and not from me. Oh, hang on, we've got somebody that I didn't know is coming, so hang on, I'm just going to. So we're going to get right into what power poetry is about. What happened and how I sort of started on it was that I'd always written things and shared things about non-duality. Really, that's my background, I suppose. To cut it short, I mean, I've been, you know, sort of a Buddhist and a Taoist, and for many years a Christian Scientist, which is all about the mystic side of things, how everything isn't as it seems, of which we're all very aware here. You know, we've been involved in different things, Course in Miracles maybe or not, but various mystic writings. Um, so none of this will be new to you, but what happened was that somebody who heard of me came and said they wanted to make a 4 minute film. They were a filmmaker and they wanted to make a 4 minute film. This time they wanted to make it on identity. So I thought, oh my goodness, 4 minutes. What am I going to say that will really, speak about it? And then I just was given this brainwave, just you'll be given a poem about it. That's what I was told, you will be given a poem about it. And we'll go through this poem as a meditation at some point in the meeting. And it's called What is Your Identity If You Are Not Your Name? And that was, it was great, that poem. What came through was so great that he made this little 4 minute film with very visual things in it, which I can send you a link, or in fact, if you just go on YouTube and put What is Your Identity If You Are Not Your Name, you'll see two videos. One is his video, where in just 4 minutes I'm narrating the poem and he's doing lots of images, and another one I'm just really narrating the poem slowly as a meditation. So I'm going to have to talk a bit to just ground you in what we're doing, and then we're going to keep having a go, and so we're going to go on like that. So just bear with me. I'm just going to pause the record. I'll keep pausing. So power poetry is really based on the fact that, as I'm sure that you are all aware who are in this group, and maybe many who is listening, that our reality is formed moment by moment by our thoughts. Yeah. And so this isn't about positive thinking, although it's positive, and I suppose we are using thinking. It's really about reconstructing the way that we view reality, because as you're all aware, everything that happens, every situation, although it might seem like it's come out of the blue, it hasn't really come out the blue. On somewhere along the line, it's been a result of the way that we've perceived something, or the way we've held on to something, or feared about something. So the idea of power poetry is to so radically change our perception that we have a new reality. But as you see, as we go on, it's not just about law of attraction. I mean, that comes into it in a way, you know, law of attraction and thinking positively. But it's much deeper than that. It's very mystic. So I'm going to read a few things out. I'm not really much of a quoter. In fact, I don't really like quotes much. And when people quote at me, I usually want to run in the other direction. But these quotes are so pertinent to what we're doing that I'm going to read them. And so and these quotes are actually they're so good that these I've chosen these from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, which is by Mary Baker Eddy. And yes, it's Christian Science, but this isn't a Christian Science talk or a Catholic talk or anything else, or it's whatever works to explain what we're doing here. So, you know, she says God is all and in all, and that finishes the question of a good and a bad side to existence. Truth is the real and error is the unreal. So beautifully simple. I'm just going to say just a few more. We must look where we would walk, and we must act as possessing all power from him in whom we have our being. This is so pertinent to what we're going to be doing. If we look to the body for pleasure, we find pain. For life, we find death. For truth, we find error. And for spirit, we find its opposite, matter. Now reverse this action. Look away from the body into truth and love, the principle of all happiness, harmony, and immortality. Hold thought steadfastly to the enduring, the good, and the true, and you will bring these into your experience proportionably to their occupancy of your thoughts. Stand porter at the door of thought, admitting only such conclusions as you wish realized in bodily results, and then you will control yourself harmoniously. And one more. Mind is the master of the corporeal senses and can conquer sickness, sin, and death. Exercise this God-given authority. Take possession of your body and govern its feeling and action. Rise in the strength of spirit to resist all that is unlike good. God has made man capable of this, and nothing can vitiate the ability and power divinely bestowed on man. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that God-given power. We're going to no longer keep ourselves small. Not that I think anybody here does that, but it's about exalting, knowing what our exultant self is capable of, and how amazingly we can affect every moment of our lived experience. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an example or two of a power poem and what it is. I'm going to then explain what we'll do in this workshop and how we'll do it. And you'll have loads of chance to say anything. The best way to do it, just so that we can hear every word, is if you've got a question, can you all see that little raised hand at the bottom of the screen? There's a little picture of a raised hand. Yeah, so you just click on that if you've got a question. But just hang on with the question just for a little while longer while I'm just explaining the principles. Or you could just chat, you could just say that you've got a question in the chat box. You could just press 1 in the chat box, and then I'll know who that is, you see. So I'm going to explain about what a power poem is. And I'm going to read one out. But I'm just going to tell you my experience with them. Since I've been doing them, I've been using them, and in this book that I'm writing, the Book of Active Power, there's a section where the poems are deliberately written for meditation. So you can use the poems to record them yourself and then play them back to yourself with your eyes closed. And also, they're deep inquiry poems asking awareness to be aware of itself. And we'll do one later so that you can have a rest and have a lovely meditate with one of these poems. And also, there's another section of the book where it's poems about daily prayers or something that you would like to start your day with. And then there's poems about healing. There's poems in different sections, because you can use a power poem for absolutely anything. And as I've been learning it myself, which has come directly from Spirit to me, there's a very definite set of key elements which I'll tell you about. And as I say, anything like that, you don't have to take loads of notes, because I'll just send you them, by email afterwards. But when I've been doing these poems, people have been ringing me and saying things like, oh, somebody's been taken into hospital. One person I remember, and they had a car accident. It was their son had a motorbike and a car accident, and the hospital had said that they didn't think he'd live through the night. And his father obviously was terrified, and but has faith in what I've been doing, and rang me. And I immediately wrote a power poem, and in a way that I'm just going to share exactly with you all, so you can do the same thing. And it completely saved his life. And as his condition changed, I would change the words in the power poem. So what you're going to be creating is a very living, organic, very practical thing which works. I mean, it can't not work, because everything that you hear is your perception. It appears that it's coming from a separate person over there, but they're putting that, somehow you are getting that idea in your head, whether it's something from one of your beliefs, something you've heard on the news, or something a friend is telling you. Somehow those beliefs are coming into your head. And it's only by your perpetuating that belief over and over again, through fear or worry or anger or whatever it is, that you're creating that reality as something solid. So the power poem is to recreate a new reality that stops you going down that road of those particular beliefs. Now, as you can see, that's got massive applications. It's not just for people who are sick or suffering or ourselves, but for nothing short of liberation, whatever it is that you want to bring into your life, where you don't have the point of view that you can achieve it, then this will correct it. But you'll understand as you do it, you see. So I'll give you an example of one here. So, and this is quite a mild example, really, except then it wasn't mild when I think about it, because she was very anxious. It was for a lady who just felt she never fitted in. She didn't fit in, and she was always anxious and very socially awkward, didn't want to go out and meet other people. So the poem I wrote for her was, it's not very long, don't worry. I am fully aligned with Source, my soul. A perfect fit. At last I'm whole. In fact, I never left this place of perfect peace and loving grace. I felt so lost, but now I'm found, resting my feet on sacred ground. I've had a complete transformation, eclipsing my past disorientation, and freed of my diagnosis label. I'm feeling so strong, so clear, so stable. In fact, the past was like a dream that I've woken from, so pure and clean. I am deeply grounded and know my full worth. I'm so grateful to live in my God given power. I've come into myself, and right now is my hour. I'm centered and balanced. I've got a new start. I feel giggles and joy rising up in my heart from being established in the divine. Thank you, God, for happiness sublime. Already done, already done, already done. And there's a method of how you use a poem like that. And the method is that you send it to the person or you use it yourself and you say it 4 times. It's like a magic spell, I suppose. It does work though. You say it 4 times, one after the other, and you put more and more emphasis on every word. And after that, you would use it in the morning when you wake up, just once, and once in the morning, in the evening before you go to sleep. And you never do it when you're in a rush. You never take the words for granted, and you always read them till you believe them. And this is of course the thing, because it's what you believe and can conceive of is what becomes your reality. So it's such a matter of just changing your thought about it. But it's all right to say to people, I'll change my thought. It's all right to look in the mirror and say an affirmation like, I love you, I love you, I love you. But if part of you doesn't believe it, it's just never going to work. So the power poems is the missing bit that gives you the ability to believe what you don't believe. And if you really don't believe something, you can always use tactical words like, it's a miracle, it's been a complete transformation, because what that does is make you realize that, well, it's out of your hands anyway. So I'm not just going to speak at you, and I have to explain that I've run poetry, these workshops before, but always live. I've never done it on Zoom. So it's going to be a tricky one to get the balance right, with me not talking you to death, you being able to ask questions when you want to, and all that sort of thing. So that's why I want you to, when you've got a question, raise your hand. But before I do that, I'm going to just do 2 more things. And one is that I'm going to explain the key elements of writing a power poem, and then I'm going to give you a go, and I'll explain how we'll do it. Don't worry about it at all. So, does anybody want to say anything at this point? So, by all means, are you all right just for another moment? Okay, right. So the key elements, right. We have to know how they work. So the first element, um, I'll just read it out. While it's important to address the story or the picture or the problem or whatever it is that you're presented with, what is absolutely vital is that your total attention is steadfastly held, and focused on the pristine, untainted, true identity. So, in other words, you're never trying to make matter better. You're not trying to make a situation better or circumstances better, because all of those are in your head, although they appear very real. Without question, they appear very real out there. But your perception is what we're working on changing. And that means that you're always focused on your true identity, your perfect identity. You are seeing, you see, you're seeing beyond all appearances to what is always unsullied and perfect. That's the idea. And this is where you can apprehend that they are truly the image and likeness of God, of love. And don't worry, because we'll kind of go over all this, you see. And because as you do it, you know that expression, hear it, forget it. Um, what's it? Hear it, forget it. See it, know it. No, do it, know it. I've forgotten what see it. See it. One of them's forget it, but do it is know it. So when you do it, you'll know it. Right. We include words, as I just said, as transformation or this phrase, a miracle's occurred. The crucial element is to write the poem as yourself and not not in a third person. So if there's somebody that you feel needs healing, you write it as I, because it's you that's having the thought. If it's somebody that, I don't know, you've heard they've broken their leg, you don't write Sally's leg is getting better, blah de blah de blah. It's always my leg is perfect, or my being is perfect. You see, you'll understand this more and more as we go on. So this is just me reading out the basic things first. Um, so that's important. It's very important for these particular poems that I'm showing you. It's very important that the poem rhymes. Hence me saying, have Google near you so you can say what rhymes with. What rhymes with. I'm always doing that. Because this is not prose. It's specifically rhyming poetry. When you have to rhyme something, you have to use even more attention and focus, because you're looking for the right word that with the right meaning, not just any old word, but you're looking for the right word to rhyme with it. If you've got to the end of the line and it ends with love or something, or even God, there are certain words that you just can't rhyme with, that there aren't any words. So you would need to change the sentence around so that you've got that word in the middle of the sentence and it doesn't end with the sentence, if you see what I mean. Don't use the same rhyming word more than twice in 2 consecutive lines, such as he didn't know, so I let him go, then he didn't show, now I'm feeling low, because that's definitely a no-no. You've got to want to read these things, you see. The poem needs to be a decent length, not too short and not overly long. But I've changed my mind a little bit about that since I've written that, because sometimes if your belief is like for instance, a couple of years ago when my dog got run over and everybody said, you must take him to the vet, you must take him to the vet. Of course I took him to the vet, but not immediately, because I did a power poem for him first, because it looked dreadful what had happened. So I had to reverse the picture in my mind. And because I was shocked, a short poem didn't do it for me. It had to be long enough so that by the end of that poem, my belief about what I was seeing was completely transformed. And then it looked like all his legs were smashed and bones were smashed. But when I got myself to the point of feeling absolutely confident of his pure being, untouched, untainted, no matter what I was seeing, then I took him to the vet. And the vet was amazed, because my friend who was the witness told him what the accident was. And he said he couldn't believe it, because all that happened was that there was a little fracture. And then that healed so quickly that he actually wrote an article in his weekly column about the miracle of this incredible healing. And so the people that criticised me for not taking him to the vet first did not understand the power of what we're doing here. And when you have got a method of how you see the power of God behind everything, then everything is possible, because truly you are the sons and daughters of God. So all we're doing is using this power that we've been given. That's why it's much more than positive thinking, because it's not for hoping for something, it's not using affirmations, it's working with the source, of what we are. See, the already done. So at the end of every poem, you always put already done, already done, already done, because otherwise you're in a waiting consciousness, or you're pleading, wishing, hoping for something. But when you said already done, it's the same as saying thy will be done. It's already happened. So we can just relax now. We've written the poem and just see, watch it unfold without any, undue worry. And so you understand that the change needs to occur in you before you see it outwardly. So those are the key elements. And before we go on to what we're going to be doing, although you will see it when you do it, by all means ask anything that you want. Anybody want to ask anything at all at this point? No. So we'll give it a go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an idea. Sorry, I've lost my piece of paper, so I'm going to pause it again. Right. So you've all got Google if you want it there. So in order, the main thing really is just to start, because unless you start, you won't know, there won't be anything to ask me about or check it out. I hope you'll all feel able to read your stuff out, and in a moment we'll do a little process to just bond us as a very intimate group. It's really great that there's just a few of us here, because it is a very intimate process. It's between you and God, really. But when we read out what we've got, it helps us all answer our questions. So I'm going to give you a theme. So we're going to try and write this afternoon, if we can, and if you're up for it, about 5 power poems, just tiny ones, and we'll have a break in the middle. We might not need all the time that we've got, but I thought I better say, the 3 hours, because having never done it on Zoom, I don't know how long it's going to take or not take. We might only need 2 hours, you see, but this is a bit experimental, as I say, because I haven't run this workshop on Zoom before, but only live. So what we're going to start with is, because it's sometimes hard to think, well, what shall I write a poem about? Or everything in my life is so perfect, I don't know what I'd write a poem about. Or everything in my life is so terrible, where do I start? So it's these are the 5. We're going to start with a daily prayer poem, like a morning prayer, something that you would like to start the day with, and I'll give you an example of mine in a moment. And then we're going to write a poem of divine inspiration, something that we can write that we just look at it and it brings us back home, brings us back to the truth. Or that might be in the daily prayer. So when I've heard all your little daily prayers, we might think, well, we can scrap that one because you've already got that element in your daily prayer, see. Then we're going to write a poem for healing. Now, if we're perfectly fine and we don't need healing, it could be for somebody else that we know. Then we're going to write a poem about the glory of God. This is going to be such a lovely one to write, because it's a poem where the purpose is of alignment, so that when you read that poem every day, or you think of it, and it can be as short as you like, or as long as you like, but the minute that you read it, you're back in that place that you want to be in, abiding in that centre. Finally, we're going to write a poem that celebrates all our divine gifts, skills, and talents, as the child of God, as the source of our being. Things that you might never have thought of. When we think of skills and talents, we often think, oh, being a writer, being an artist, but it can be anything. In fact, David told me about that amazing Disney film called Soul, which I watched for the second time last night, and it's absolutely brilliant. And it's saying that everybody's looking for this big purpose in life and feeling that they're not contributing if they haven't got this big purpose in life. But really, the message, I mean, I think the message of that film, it's just my opinion, is that it's about living now, and that it's just, you know, enjoying that you're walking, enjoying that you're smelling the roses. It's just this present moment. I mean, that's, you know, and so your poem could be about that, you see. Um, and so we're just going to start, but before that, I'll give you an example. I'm going to have to pause it, so you'll hear that lady saying I've paused the recording again. So this is a blessing prayer because I believe, yeah, it's really important to bless ourselves in the beginning. And when we bless ourselves, we bless other people. So this is very short. I bless myself in my joy and in my well being, in my strength and peace and Christly seeing, in my love, abundance, and generosity. And if there's any perceived atrocity, there's forgiveness felt with immediate velocity. I bless myself in radiantly shining as thee, whether thinking of or meeting everyone I see. I bless myself in serenity, ease, and stability. I bless myself in using my God given abilities for the good of thee and all, and me, which is simply I, loving I eternally. So that's the blessing prayer that I wrote. If you like any of these, of course, you can ask me to just send you them. And then just one more before you get a go. I can't wait to hear what you all do. Um, this is a poem called my night and day poem. I can write it as if it's happened or if it's going to happen. So this just says, thank you, God, for all the precious gifts you give me today, and for all the miracles, both seen and unseen, along the way. Thank you. This is most important to me, this bit. Thank you for being my constant guiding star and for never letting me stray from you too long or too far. Thank you for the opportunities you give me to bless all those who come my way, to give them peace and tenderness. Thank you for blessing me and filling me with light, and for all my epiphanies and deep insights. Thank you for your love and fulfilling all my needs. I will always follow you home, wherein my heart leads. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's my morning prayer. And at night I say, thank you for all the precious gifts you gave me today. Thank you for all the people that came my way, you see. So, are you all ready to give it a go? Yes? Say yes. Great. Okay, so we're going to start with what I said. Oh, yes. We're just going to start with the daily prayer one. Now, don't worry, you probably think, well, I've already got my daily prayers, or I've already written one, or I know what I'm doing. Just treat this as a fresh challenge, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to pause the recording because, you know, you're going to do this, and I'm going to give a certain time length as to how you do it. So we're going to start doing that now. So I'll pause the recording. So we've just been spending 10 minutes or so writing our morning prayer, and I'm just going to give you all a chance to read, and then I'll read mine at the end. So I'll just begin with you, Trisha. If you would like to unmute so that we can hear your poem.
Okay. Right then. Thank you for the blessings of this day, for the sun rising to illuminate my way, for protection around me, giving me strength so I can reach higher with every intent, bringing light to the world with beauty revealing, with true inspiration for positive healing. Amen, amen, amen.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Oh.
that's amazing because you got a lot in, and it sounded like it just flowed from you. Did it?
Kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Are you pleased
Thank
with
you.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it feels I've said what I wanted to say, really, I think. Yeah, so that's great to have something written down. Thank you.
Great, great. And then you can use that every morning, you see.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
never
felt quite powerful, actually, quite powerful to write it.
excellent. It does. I think this is what everyone will feel, by hopefully by the end of this workshop, that these things are so empowering because we're using our God-given power, we're letting it come through. So, and when you read it in the mornings, never take it for granted, never do it in a rush, just always, you know. Yeah. Thank you. So if you want to mute, then we'll hear David. Yeah. Hi, David.
um, it's going to be a little hard for me to do this. I think I had shared with you earlier that I had kind of an agenda here, and
Would you like me to pause it, David?
no, it's
Okay.
okay. I can do this. Um, the music from the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin, that refrain, "Cause I love you, oh how I love you." This is going to be hard for me. I can do this. So I wanted to use that music because that refrain is in my head so much. But I wanted to change the words of the song to fit what I really wanted. So maybe later, okay?
Sure,
I
sure.
really want to share this, but it's not going to come out right now
Not,
without.
not now. Okay, and you just let us know when. That's absolutely fine. Thank you. I'm so glad that it's touched your heart. That's just,
Oh,
this isn't light stuff. This is, even when we're being light, it's serious stuff. This is soul stuff. So, thank
okay, I can do this. Let me do. Okay, I am your beloved. You're holding my hand. Walking beside me, the feeling is grand. I feel your presence. Within and without. You've become my essence. Ending all doubt. Cause I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, how I love you.
Oh, that was just terrific. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you've taken that to heart, and I love that the use of the word essence, and I can really feel how that's affected you. So thank you, David. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Right, so Sharon, would you like to share yours? You're muted. Yeah.
Well, that's a hard act to follow, because that was quite lovely. And I felt it to my core. And so I got a surprise. And the words just plopped out. And so I just wrote them down, and we'll just see. Good morning, good morning. Ideas are already swarming. Before eyes can even open, feelings and emotions tumble in, some shouting, some rumbling. Thank you for creating internal order so I can sorta be quiet. Just today is my focus to concentrate my locus on what's to be, do, or not. Many wishes for the day, some will end as ashes. Only divine will prevails. It's done. It's done. It's now one. Thank you. Many blessings.
Wow, what an
Somebody in there is really talking. So
amazing.
who knows?
I can hear that. I can hear that they're doing that. This
It
is all,
surprised me.
I know this is all we have to do is, this music that I've been doing for this Choose Only Love album. That's what I did. I just didn't know what was going to come, and I would sit there and it came through. And it's giving ourselves permission to be that open that then we put on one side, everyone, we put on we put away the judge, you see, because whenever we're judging it as, oh, I hope this is as good as somebody else's, or it's, oh, what are people going to think, that's the little me, isn't it, getting involved, and that always gets in the way. So as soon as we even hear that, we don't give it house room, we don't entertain it, because we know what we are, and this is proving it with these amazing things that are coming through. I mean, those words were incredible. They were dancing. It was like I saw colours dancing. Like, it was fantastic, Sharon. Really, thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so now I'm seeing Julie. So Julie, would you like to read yours?
Okay, I hope this doesn't lag.
You're all right, darling. Carry
I
on.
think I'm a bit in tune with Tricia because it's quite a similar. Here goes. Thank you, Father, for this new day, for the love and well-being sent my way. Thank you for taking the driving seat. Whatever we do will be a treat. Under the safety of your care, gives me the space just to be aware. Receiving the love, inspiration and freedom, resting in the ears of the finished kingdom. Already done, already done, already done.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love resting in the ears. That's just beautiful. It's absolutely great. Thank you so much. That's lovely. No two poems are ever alike, even though they're very unique, and that's absolutely great. Beautiful, right to the heart. Thank you. Right, Hugh, let's see what you've got to give us. You need to mute, Julie.
Oh.
Thank you. Hi, Hugh.
I am here. Today's the day. Yes, for I know what to say and what to do. I'll find out soon. Though it may well have changed by noon. So free and well prepared am I. To get things right, I need not try. For that is how to play this game of joyful life and death's the same. Amen, amen, amen.
Oh, lovely. I love that. I love that what you put in there accepts that anything could change. See, in a way, you can't really ask for anything because it's subject to change, and the way you look at it is subject to change. It just is as it is, and That's beautiful. I loved it. It's really straight to the heart and very and it's got that gift of simplicity. So thank you. Great. So um, at this point, because the best way to learn is really just to keep, to keep doing them. So I'm going to share one with you, and it's that one that I've written as a self-inquiry poem, and so we're going to do it as a meditation before we do the next poem. But before we do, I'll just read you mine. I wrote a morning poem too. Let my heart so burst with love upon waking that in every breath that in every breath I am immediately forsaking any thought that condemns or criticizes myself or anyone in all their guises. Let me only see with my spirit eyes you in all that doth arise. Amen, amen, amen. And that was written because I'd written ones before, so I thought this one I'll write on the angle of how you can start well and then the mind comes in and you can do something and then you can immediately say to yourself, oh, how stupid. It's we're so quick to condemn ourselves, and others. So that's why I wrote it from that angle. So as I say, before we do the next one, we will do one of these poems that I wrote for self-inquiry, so that you've got a chance just to sort of relax and enjoy it. Hang on, I'll just get it. Won't it? Yes. So this one is called yes, it's called What Is Your Identity If You Are Not Your Name? So I'll read this out, and then you can just relax and just listen how the words are. Yeah. Okay. So just close your eyes and don't rush this in your own mind. Just you might have heard it before or done it before with me, but just do it again as if it's fresh. And really ask yourself the questions that are being asked of you here. Okay. What is your identity if you are not your name? Now gone is the familiar and nothing looks the same. Your identity is formed before your first birthday, created by all the names for things that you learned to say. But you are not your mind, the beliefs or thoughts, labels, descriptions, all the things you've been taught, all the conditioning that made you believe a separate individual had been conceived. Yet the word individual means undivided and connected to the source where all is provided. But this truth gets overridden. The conditioned mind keeps the gold well hidden. And your personality is a non-reality to which you've been subscribing by your constant describing of everything you see and hear, creating feelings of mortal fear. Because the mind is restless and never still. And this addiction to thinking is what makes you ill. Ignoring totally what's in between. This present moment. which is never seen when you're so very interested in all the thinking, which just creates more thoughts and sentence linking. But with whom are you having this conversation? There's only you there on investigation, for you are not your mind. This truth is so easy to find. Simply cease for a moment. Whatever you're doing, and instantly you stop accruing more thoughts, joining up like paper chains. Just less than a second, you can rest free of pains from this continuous narration of your fertile imagination, relentlessly turning like a hamster on a wheel. But just pause for a moment. Rest and heal. And so now for a little exercise. Just stop and try this on for size. Imagine you have no memory at all. Your name, your life, you cannot recall. The roles you play like daughter or son, and all the jobs you've ever done, your age, your shape, your nationality, all you've believed as your reality, where you live or who you know, everything. Just let it go. So now what's left without the mental narration? At last we find silence, our true foundation. This is the kingdom of God, our home. The I am, your pure being, is the only one on the throne. Keep quiet. No matter what the worries or fear, silence underlies all the images that appear. Beyond the mind is an infinite space, discovered in the silence of this present moment place. Keep quiet inside. Rest and abide. Keep quiet. Be still. Let the silence completely fill. So what is your identity if you are not your name? Gone is the familiar and nothing looks the same. Keep quiet. No matter what the worries or fear, silence underlies all the images that appear. Beyond the mind is an infinite space, discovered in the silence of this present moment place. Keep quiet inside. Rest and abide. Keep quiet. be still. Let the silence completely fill. Okay, slowly open your eyes. And if ever you find yourself overthinking, if you didn't remember any line from that poem, just remember to ask yourself the question, imagine that you have no memory at all. Because I don't know about you, but when I read that and think that, my mind goes completely blank. So I hope you enjoyed that. And that's an example of one that you can write for yourself or for anybody else as a meditation, and record it and play it back for yourself. It's a time when you're writing it to be very, very inspired and think about what you would like to hear said if God was speaking directly to you. What would that meditation be like, you know? So we're going to do another one now. If anybody wants to say anything, just help yourself while I just look for this next thing that we're going to do. Are you all ready to write another one on a different subject? Yeah? Okie dokie. So the next one, we've done a daily prayer. Now I just need to work out, because I'm sure we won't get all 5 done, so I just choose which one. Might do, yeah. I don't want to overwork you. So I think we'll try, we did a daily prayer, and I'll tell you what the others are, and then you can each say what you would like to do. I think that's the best way. Let's just imagine that we do one more poem. We might have time for another, but I want you to do one that is one that's working on a situation. So have you, any of you, got a situation that you particularly would like to focus on? Now, if there's nothing going on in your life that's causing you any difficulty, it could be a poem of healing for somebody else. It could be a poem of healing for you, or a life situation or circumstance. It could be a poem about the glorifying God, but I thought we might just do that at the end, really. So I think we'll stick with that one about that it's either to resolve something, heal something, or if it's not for you, it could be for someone else. So just let me know if you all can think of something or someone that you'd like to work on. Just sort of, I know the best way is to just put your hand up if you think you can work on something. So Trisha, David, Hugh, and Julie and Sharon. So you've all got some. Great.
Right. Can I just ask something, Mandy? If it's about another person, you say that you've still got to treat it as if it's you. Me.
Yes, thank you for reminding me to say that. That's very important, that point. So if it was somebody else in any sort of situation, it could be that you know they're homeless, or they're penniless, or that their mind is just driving them mad, or they've got a disease or something. The reason that you write it as you, so I am perfect, whole, and but it still works if you're not comfortable with that. That, you see, you have to be comfortable with that, because it's you can't make up a level that you have not achieved. I mean, when I trained to do Christian Science healing, there was no point, even though the books were about the absolute mystic healing, if I wasn't there yet, then nothing I do would be effective because I hadn't reached that level of experience yet. So you have to be honest with yourself. If you feel that you can't get it about writing a poem for somebody else, but saying, using yourself, I am perfect, I am whole. If you'd rather say Sarah is perfect and whole, right, that will still work because that's where your level of experience is. Do you understand what I mean, everyone? Yeah, you work from the level that you're at. Sometimes I've definitely done that over and over again. I mean, there was a neighbour who rang me, a young girl, terrified about her mother who'd suddenly had a massive stroke and was rushed into hospital. And so and this was a life and death situation. The doctors definitely had said to her they didn't think she'd last the night. And every time so this girl called Shamila, every time she said this to me, I said to her, we're not having that, Shamila. You know, you've got to be that clear. We're not having that. So I would give her a poem to use in the third person. You know, mum is feeling fantastic. Everything's working. Da di da di da. You know, and it would, or I'd write it for her. I'd write it for her mother, not as me, but for the mother. And it was great. I mean, even to things like one day they said she must have a lumbar puncture, and the patient, this lady, she did not want a lumbar puncture, and who can blame her? They're not great, and so she didn't want one, and all her relatives were giving her grief, and the doctors. Everybody was saying she had to have one. So I put in the poem, I just put that. I just said, a lumbar puncture is not necessary, blah, 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 whatever rhymed with that. And then the next thing I know, Shamila rings. She didn't have to have one. She didn't have to have one, you know, and it went like that. And then, you know, as she actually got better, which they were amazed by, the doctors were absolutely astounded. And then I went to visit her in the hospital and they said to me, she'll never come home. She'll have to go to a respite home. She'll never be able to cook. She'll never be able to manage the stairs. This was reported to me by the doctor. And I said to the daughter, rubbish, we're not having that. So I just would change the lines, you know, simple as that. It's like you've got a magic paintbrush. And I'd just say, you know, her legs are working, she's feeling fine, she blah, 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 and most of the time, you know. And then her legs would work. And she was having physio, and suddenly, hey presto, she can work. And then the next time I saw her, I put something in about cooking. And when I came to the ward, she was only cooking the nurses' onion bhajis, right? So then she went home. She did not have to go into a home. She went to her own home. She could manage the stairs and everything. And all that was written as the third person. So in the end, it's, you know, I think that I was stressed as well because I knew her very well. So it was easier for me at that time to write it as though I'm writing it for somebody else. So I did do that separation and it worked brilliantly. So, you know, do it the way you need to do it. But I just find it now very, very effective to not see anybody as separate because ultimately they aren't separate. So if I'm writing for somebody that's got a problem, I write, I am perfect, whole and complete, because I know who I'm doing it for, but I know it's also my belief that's keeping them ill if I believe the picture. Do you all know what I mean? You know, please feel free to ask any more questions. So write the poem if it's for somebody else, as you if you feel confident doing that, or as them if you'd rather do it that way, because it will work. You know, the point is that when you've finished your poem, you should be so convinced of its efficacy that it doesn't matter in the end because it's all in your head. Do you see what I mean? Let's say you've got a difficult financial situation or you've got anything, whatever, just write it as you. I mean, it's best to start with one for yourself, but if you haven't got anything that you need to resolve or work on, then yes, do it for someone else. So is that all right? Have you got enough to go on and Perfect. So again, I'll stop the recording because we're going to start these, and then we'll have another little break and read them out. But I'm going to give you longer for this one, so I'll pause it. So we've all been writing our poems on, I think, I'm not sure, I'll wait to hear from you, but we were kind of thinking about that these ones would be about maybe some kind of healing for somebody or healing a situation or something, but it doesn't matter if it isn't about that. So now we're going to hear from each one of you, and I'll start the other way on this time. So Hugh, can we hear from you? Hi.
Like borne along by happy horses, I awake to joy and wealth, feeling how these friendly forces lead me to abundant health. New beginnings start in me. At last, it seems, I start to see where once I only seemed to sleep. I open up my eyes and peep at what of once I was afraid. So glad that life in me has stayed, that I may shine this very hour, participate in healing's power, encompass all within my fun. Already done, already done.
Oh, great! That's super. Can we ask? Is that was that for you or for somebody else, or what was your theme for you? Oh, that's great because you know that it always begins here, and that sounds absolutely glorious. So, did you enjoy writing it?
Yeah.
Good, good. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll have Julie next.
Right. Well, I wrote it for another person and I didn't feel I could do it for myself. I couldn't work it out. So I just wrote it to the person.
Yes, great, great.
And it's for my son who is struggling with learning to drive and he's getting very stressed about it. So it's here. Now then, Aaron, I want you to see that learning to drive needn't be the difficulty that you believe in being convinced you can't achieve. You are already fluent in the theory, which you thought was arduous and dreary. So also trust now the driving will ease. Those tricky hill starts are becoming a breeze. Knowing that you are divine perfection, we'll soon see you going in the right direction. Congratulations in passing your test, which you never doubted, being so blessed. Already done, already done, already done.
That is great. There's just one thing because we're
Yeah.
looking at this technically,
Okay.
we're learning it. So if you just read that first line again.
Okay. I put, now then, Aaron, I want you to see that learning to drive.
Okay, just stop there.
Yeah.
Can you see what I might want to address in that line? What do you think?
It's another person. You mean it's someone else? Or...
Well, it's you saying I want you to see.
Okay.
So we wouldn't put that in a power poem because
Okay.
it's that is although we technically we're doing the power poem from our point of view to see that in this case this person is completely at ease with their driving. So we so most of it I would say it would in terms of how what we're doing here is absolutely spot on, but if it's saying I want you to see, that's a bit of how can I put it? It's a bit of something coming from you that's like a judgment. It's like
Yeah.
like a command. I want you to see.
Mm.
So you could say it's already clear that, you see, it's
Yeah.
already clear that you're you're not even starting. We wouldn't say starting, because then we're saying how long is a piece of string, you see, if we're putting an ing in it, like starting. So
Well,
I know you haven't got that in. I'm just giving you that.
yeah, that sounds good. It's already clear to see that
That
learning to drive needn't be the difficulty that you believe. Or
then
is that a judgment?
there's a little bit of so we wouldn't actually write in the negative part.
Right. Uh-huh.
Sort of say it's already clear to see that driving is to you a breeze, something like that,
Okay.
so that you're not putting it isn't the difficulty. In other words, there's rather a few negatives in there.
Okay, yeah.
And it's because what we're doing, you see, is we're building a picture, so that the minute we look at our poems, we're picturing. So I mean, I should have said this at the beginning, that your poems, yeah, they, as soon as you look at them, they actually provide an image for you, a picture, something that you sense. So
Oh, it's
that,
good though. It's good because it's helping me understand.
yes, so you've got that. So, but everything else was just great, because the rest of it is a great picture of a young man who is really enjoying the driving, and so we wouldn't ever put not finding it difficult, but it's easy. It's great. It's already
Yeah.
there. It's already
Okay.
done. A fait accompli. Is that
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Right. So Sharon. And like what I've just said to everybody, to Julie, if you're thinking, oh dear, I better change it, don't worry about it. It's just just read out what you've got.
Well, healing wasn't coming. Evidently, there's too much attached to that, and there were too many words, and so I just did something else.
Good.
And so I did divine inspiration, and I'm seeing where some of it may. Anyway, how I long to be lit up with the light bulbs of inspiration, not frustration, light bulbs of elation, not deflation, light bulbs of inflation. A mind and heart working in syncopation. I don't know that that's a word. For divine intention and creation. That car that drives right up to me, the perfection of my desire, B, price tag paid, money already made. That book niggling at my being. That class of hypnotherapy so abandoned and contrary. All of this coming together, Pat. Born of my love of trying different and new, fun and ooh. Thank you, already done, already done. This one was hard.
Well, I think it's great, because what you're trying to do, though, is you're trying to pack a lot into one poem, really. So you're talking about, basically, you're talking about different interests that you've got that you'd like to do. There's the book, there's the hypnotherapy. So what I would do is just say, all the things that I have longed to do, I now am expressing through, through and through, something like that. So we always try and write it as though it's already happened. So we're not just relying on already done. We're writing it as though it's already happened. And yeah, we try and find one word like interests that cover all those different things. And then we probably not start. Can you just read the first line again? Just read the first line.
How I long to be
Yes.
lit up.
How I long to be. I am. You could put. I am already lit up when I think of all the. So you've got all these interests. So what's lighting you up? Actually, when I'm hearing that poem, what is already lighting you up is the thought of doing these things. So you would start with, I am already lit up with the anticipation of, you know, do you know what I mean? So we try not to think if we're longing, we could stay in a state of longing. It's what I call like a bit of a waiting consciousness, you see. So you know, but it's absolutely great everything that you've written. It's just that these are just points, and it's because we're just learning it, and that's why I'm bringing that up. So is that okay? Yeah, spot on. Thank you very much. Great. Okay, David, your turn.
Oh, this is the second verse. The music from Nights in White Satin. It's my voice sounding like Justin Hayward.
Oh, I used to fancy him. Sorry, I really did.
You've entered my body, eliminated the pain. Loving me completely, in me you remain. You've restored my strength and healed my spine. Your love encompasses me and soothes my mind. And I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, how I love you. Oh, how I love you.
Oh, it's just lovely. The feeling that comes through that, David. It's just beautiful. Thank you so much. And that's a beautiful way to have written about it, because it's so it's, you know, like it's already happened. You can feel it happening. You so that you read that and you can feel the love. You know, it's pouring out of it, isn't it? It's radiating. So that's great. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So Trisha, what have you got for us?
Healing energy, pure and bright. Thank you for clearing with channels of light the pathways I've closed for many a year. I'm releasing all fears and lack of self-worth. Now is the time to see rebirth. The child within is ready to play with colours and shimmering dragonfly wings, with wishes and blessings and beautiful things, bringing wisdom and healing to all who see. The creations I've made carry violet flame and crystals to bring to the owner's name. Healing, happiness, peace within, so divine healing can now begin. Already done, already done, already done.
Hey, that's fantastic. So I just changed two things. So I'd put has begun. So you put has begun. Um, uh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with things like has begun. It's just that we try and write it when we're picturing. A funny thing happens to our brain, and of course people watching may disagree, and that's fine. I can only go by my own experience of years of writing these poems, but I would change has begun to is in full flow. You know what I mean? Something so it's actually in the midst of it. And there was something earlier that you said. Can you just read it me again from the beginning, and I'll stop you when we get there.
Healing energy, pure and bright. Thank you for clearing with channels of light the pathways I've closed for many a year. I'm releasing all fears and lack of self-worth.
I'm releasing.
Now,
Yes.
I'm releasing.
So
First,
I'm free of.
yeah, first of all, I put through innate fear and lack of self-worth. So you said put.
So I would say
I'm free of. I'm
you
free of.
don't even have to mention the lack of anything. So we wouldn't
Mm.
put lack in. We always put the feeling, because you see, let's say a little leprechaun came up to you, or somebody asking you for three wishes. Well, he can't grant you what already exists. So he can only grant you something brand new. So when we're writing these poems, we're writing the brand new. So if you've already, so anything like a lack of self-worth is your mistaken feeling about you, because God knows nothing about yourself. worthy. Just you are so worthy in God's eyes. So we don't write anything about a lack of. We write, my new freedom is da 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 da. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not lying to ourselves. It's not going back to the affirmations where we're saying things that we don't believe. We're creating a picture so that we're just correcting our perception, and it's
Mm.
a picture. You see, you can see a picture of somebody that's free and happy, but you can't see a picture of somebody that's, if imagine a picture of somebody that's getting rid of their lack of self-worth. There's nothing forms in your brain, you see, but somebody that is full of joy and feels great, well, you kind of can imagine that immediately. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
I
Yeah.
did wonder about that line. I thought maybe not even include that line, but I
Yeah,
put, so divine healing can now begin, not
well,
has begun. So
I think,
would
God,
how would that be? So divine healing has now begun, or
well,
can now begin?
divine healing is already the case, you know.
It's flowing. It's now flowing.
Flowering or blossoming. In fact, that's
Yeah.
nice. Flowering or blossoming, you see. It has to be believable, but otherwise you won't believe it. But, and if you didn't believe it, you can add a word like a miracle's happened or transformations happened. If you didn't believe the words that healing was already blossoming, if you didn't believe the words, then you'd say a miracle's happened. I've transformed. So it's everything's as though it's already happened. You see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So at this point, I was just going to really just ask you all if there's any questions you want to give, or any feedback, any constructive criticism. I always see it as constructive. And what I mean is, because this is the first time I've ever run this on a Zoom, and and I'm recording it, and I want everybody to get as much out of it as possible. So it would be, you can tell me if I've talked too much, not explained things enough, or if it's been great, but don't feel you have to say if it's been great, because I'm learning, you see. So anything you want to say so far about how it's gone as a general, doing this on Zoom?
Well, Mandy, it's definitely doing it. You can't understand it until you start to do it.
Yes.
That's definite what I've just learned. And with the group that we're here today, it's just provided a lovely openness, and an allowing, for us to express ourselves. And thank you very much for providing that space for us.
Oh, well, I agree that it's really been nice doing it as in a small group, because you see, we've had time to do as much as we have, and we've still got time to do some more. We'll just see how everybody feels. But if we'd have had more people, it would have probably, well, I mean, we might not have had as much time because everybody'd be reading out. So although it's lovely and we welcome more people, it's fun and it's interesting, but it's like work as well, isn't it? So we don't want it to go on too long. So another thing, as I wasn't sure how long to make it, because it is hard to do it. So I'm wanting to know if you're actually all enjoying the process, or if it's on that balance of enjoying it, or if it's going over where it's just too much hard work. So that's what I want to know, you see. Yes, David. Yeah.
I wouldn't have started this on my own. So doing this in a group process kind of started the ball rolling for me. And I'm pretty confident that once this is over with, that I can continue this, because this was a good start for me. The other thing I wanted to talk about is you're asking each of us to look at the others on the screen and connect was wonderful. And that, I've never experienced that in a Zoom session before. And I found myself wishing that, like the Holy Encounters that Sebastian's group does that once a month, that could be a part of that. Because starting that process with that group, like with when you were facilitating that, I didn't know anybody there, and I mean, Hugh, I've seen you and Julie, but I didn't really. So the process of looking and connecting was delightful.
Oh, well, that just came at the beginning to me as something that I was just sort of, I always hear these things and said, just do that, you see. So I think that if you liked it, and I certainly liked it, please pass doing this on with any other groups that anybody's in. Just suggest it, just say that this is something we did in this group, and can we just give it a try? Because any group that you're in, you as a member of that group has got the right to make a suggestion of how you start off a meeting. And otherwise we keep coming to the meetings, you see the same old people, but you never get the chance to really connect with them. And you wish you would. You're in a group, aren't you, and you think, oh, I love what that person said, or I really love that person, and I wish I had a chance to connect them. And on Zoom particularly, we don't get a chance to sort of hug. So we can do virtual hugging, and it actually, in a way, it feels deeper because we have to put more emphasis into our feelings. So thank you for sharing that, because I like doing it. And we'll do it again at the end, so that because I didn't record that, and then everybody can see what we were talking about. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else want to share anything? Yes, Sharon. Well, do Sharon and then Trisha. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and it held a lot of surprises for me. And
I like the birds.
the workshop, and I'm very happy that I came. Thank you. I think it was well done. And I particularly found value in the feedback you gave me and others. And I learned from that too. And I wouldn't mind doing another one, or an advanced one, or just to have the support and feedback of the poems. I think I kind of got lost in some of them. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but so there you have it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Sharon. I mean, I'd love to do some more. So, if everybody here has enjoyed it and you'd like to do it again, it would be great. And I'd really appreciate it if you told other people about it and what you thought about it. And I'll send you the video, and then you can also show them the video, you see. And that'd be great, because my dream is, because I'm putting this book together with Julie's help, as I say, the active power, the book of active power and power poems and things. And the idea is to empower everybody to do their own. So everybody's just kind of transforming their reality exactly the way they want it. And we get more of the feeling that our whole life really is up to us. It is up to us. It's always freedom in immediate perception. We can just keep that line, by the way, is Candy So Denver's. That's not mine, but she also teaches freedom in immediate perception. In every moment, in every perception, we have the freedom to choose, And if we have a picture of something that's not going great for us or for someone else, and we keep on going over and over and over that picture, we solidify it. And this is a way to really sort of break that on a much more deep mystical way than just simply what we call positive thinking or law of attraction, that it's so much deeper than that. So it's something that I'd like to do more of. So yes, tell your friends. That'd be great. Thank you very much. So Trisha, what would you like to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and how it's given me clarity really about certain things, that I want to do. And it's been quite valuable to write things down in this way, because you didn't really know what to expect before joining. You just thought, oh, a bit of rhyming, words that rhyme, but actually it's revealing what has been revealed. So thank you.
Oh, it's a great pleasure, and it's just been so lovely having you all here. I can't think, such a beautiful group, absolutely great. So, absolutely, thank you so much. And
Thank you, Mandy. I just want to say that also there's so much more to give with this. We can do other workshops because there's so many other subjects still, and
yeah,
each subject will bring out more in us, which is very inspiring and useful, for our own growth.
oh, great. Well, I'll do more of them then. I'll do. I'd like to. Just this is me, as I say, the first one on Zoom, and I've done live ones before, and but it actually I'm just noticing it doesn't make any difference actually, because the essence and our connection is so strong. This is something I've learned all this lockdown with everything's on Zoom. The the essence of who everybody is, the intimacy is strong. It really is somehow in a different way than when you're actually live. So it's all got its benefits. So we're going to do that very process, because I think we'll end it there. I think you've. I mean, I'm happy to go on, but I kind of think you've done enough really for today. Because you've had a lot of information thrown at you. So we're just going to do the process again, where we just really connect. So as I said earlier, we're just going to take some time now, just a minute or so, to look at each person, to really look at them. And of course, nobody knows who you're looking at, everybody, and that doesn't matter. You're just relaxing and looking at a person and giving them all your love and gratitude for being present, and giving them a virtual hug, and and saying thank you, and then kind of, when you've done that, just imagine that you're holding hands in a circle with each other. So we'll have a look in, we'll call it the look in. And just be aware that while you're doing this, it's not just you looking at somebody, that everybody else is also looking at you too, and you're feeling their hug. So you're receiving at the same time as you're giving out. And then just look at your own image and just adore what's there through Christ's eyes, adoring you, loving you. And then just close your eyes and imagine that we're all holding hands in a circle. And you're sending love to the one on your left and receiving it from the one on your right. And you don't have to imagine anybody in particular who's on your left and right. Okay, thank you so much. And what I'll do is I'll send you some things like some example poems and a list of the key points. And if there's anything that you remember, that you would like as well that I haven't sent, you can just email me. And just thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you came. I just love you all very much. So if you want to unmute yourselves and say goodbye to each other. Thank you, Hugh, Sharon, David, Tricia,
Thank
Julie.
you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you for the beautiful poems.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
Julie. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Mandy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bless you. Love you so much. And
Love you all.
see you soon.
Yes.
Tell your friends. Bye for now, darlings. Bye-bye.
Bye then. Bye, Mandy.
Bye.
Thank you for having the Zoom because I couldn't have come to a live one.
All right. Well, in that case, that's great. I know what you mean. Okay.
You.
Bye.
Okay.